In Borderlands 2, when you lose all of your health, instead of dying immediately, you go into fight for your life for about 15 seconds. And the only way to get a second wind is to either kill an enemy or let a teammate revive you. And because I am as good at playing Borderlands as a dog is good at speaking English, when I play Borderlands 2 I am in fight for your life about 80% of the time. So I have had a lot of practice and I'm basically an expert. But it seems that I am very masochistic because I asked myself a very important question, and that was, can you beat Borderlands 2 while only in fight for your life? But sadly I couldn't find anything about anyone doing this, so with my amazing skill of being able to get downed more than anyone else in the game, it is now up to me to figure out if this is possible. And with some lengthy research of about 30 seconds, I figured out that Axton would probably be fine for this challenge, because with this head he looks like me when it's time for school. Because when I'm thinking of school, I'm thinking it's time to fight for your life, so it fits perfectly. But anyway, before Claptrap comes to rescue us like the beautiful goddess that she is, it's time for a few simple rules. Firstly, all damage must be dealt by weapons shot or thrown while in fight for your life, and of course, no action skill whatsoever in any way, shape or form. I also cannot use any shields that deal damage to enemies, just like a spike shield or a nova shield, of course because that will be dealing damage to them while I'm not in fight for your life. And finally, I can use whatever I want when it comes to guns, grenades, class mods and relics. And just 2 minutes after meeting the Princess Claptrap, she invites me over to her place, and just as I was about to get lucky, I get cock-blocked by this giant ripped bonafide as it rips Claptrap's eye out, and he decides to keep it and turn it into a pretty necklace like a complete psychopath. But because apparently Claptrap needs an eye to see, which makes no sense, I now must go and murder a bunch of poor defenseless animals for an easily replaceable eye, and that definitely sounds like a fair trade to me. So I quickly go to Digistruct Peak and I complete one of the toughest quests in the history of any game ever made, which is of course pressing the raid boss level button to get myself to level 3. Thanks Tannis. Now it is time for the most action-packed Borderlands 2 experience that you have ever seen. Because as you can see, to damage any enemies, even the weakest of monglets, I have to let them fist me until I collapse every single time. But while all of the monglets went down in one shot, the dragger of Knuckles himself needed to be no-scoped in the head until he not only gave me Claptrap's eye, but also a legendary Hornet. Yes! Come on! First try. Oh, holy shit. I got so lucky with those crits there, man. Oh shit, there is! We got the Hornet! We got the Hornet! Yes! Twin Hornet as well. Holy shit, that's actually insane. Poor Boom Boom's gonna get melted. And I'm guessing that was a thanks from Knuckle Dragger because I stopped his knuckles from ever being dragged again. And after killing Knuckle Dragger, all I had to do now was kill a few of his minions, but when it was time to take out the final Brat Bullymong, the little asshole decided to get himself stuck in a couple of rocks so he couldn't hit me, and there was no other way of me getting downed, so I had no way of killing him in fight for your life. So I did a quick little save quit, but I never picked up Claptrap's eye, so I had to kill Knuckle Dragger once more, but this time I chose to do it with the Twin Hornet. Then I quickly grabbed Claptrap's stupid eye, and it was time to continue. Then my schizophrenia-induced voice in my head decided to show up and somehow open a door for me, and as I was clearing out Liesberg, it turned out that if I'm not actively fighting the bandits, sometimes they just get bored and stop beating the shit out of me. Which normally would be a good thing, but I like the pain and I also need them to beat me until I can go into fight for your life. But finally, after clearing Liesberg from the absolute scum, I am met by the human embodiment of the word gentleman. And immediately, without hesitation, I give him Claptrap's eye and he decides to start working on it. But it was way too gory for me to watch, so I looked away. But eventually, he saves Claptrap's eye with his beautiful surgery. But now, we need to go and teach Captain Flint a lesson, because he bullied Claptrap, and the punishment for bullying is immediate death. But the weapons I currently have aren't strong enough to beat Captain Flint into submission, So it's time to farm the Zoophile badass midget and the bullymong he is riding. And that of course would be Midgemong. Cool name, but I need the gun he shits out, and luckily enough for me, it only took me 3 kills. What? Bro, what? This is the most inconsistent enemy ever. What the hell? Oh, we got it! Yes! Oh my god, we got it on the 3rd try. Yeah! Come on. Damn, I am getting lucky this run. But the luck doesn't end there. You'll definitely see when it happens. And it is now time to finally test out the Japanese nemesis. Well, I call it that because you shoot a bomb, but one just wasn't enough. So it drops another one 3 days later. And after I boom 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 with the boom boom gun, all that is left is to find out who is stronger, Japan or Captain Flint. Because we all know Japan gave up after just 2 explosions, but what about Captain Flint? So then I proceeded to do the slowest speed run in history through Captain Flint's stuck ship, saving Claptrap and making it all the way to the boss fight. Then I immediately got my ass handed to me. But on the 2nd attempt, I slowly whittle his health down little by little, getting myself a couple of second wins from each of his boys, and repeat until finally the big bully bastard's flame burned out. After killing him, we take a victory ride on Claptrap's mighty vessel, all the way to Three Horns. And as I arrive on the shores, just like the first settlers, I have one mission. And no, that isn't to pillage and enslave all of the locals, but of course I need to go to the closest catch a ride and grab a car. So now, with my brand new car, I need to go to Sanctuary, the town full of Claptrap's minions. But they won't let me in unless if I go and grab their drunk friend. So I chuck on the Uber sticker, drive to the spot where I'm picking him up. I then walk around the corner, call out Uber for Reese. And holy fuck, he's being eaten alive by crackheads. So I eventually take them out while fighting for my life, but Reese, with his final words, tells me that he needs me to go and grab the AA batteries that the crackheads stole, because not only are they needed for Sanctuary's survival, but also because I need some for my Xbox controller. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to continue the run. So I go to the local crack den, kill the crackhead that took all the batteries. I secretly keep 2 of them for myself and put 1 of them in the Sanctuary shield generator, saving the town, and I am now a hero. But instead of a parade for my heroic act of killing a couple of crackheads, I get something better, and that is of course meeting the ultimate cousin fucker himself, Scooter. But after meeting everyone in Sanctuary that needed to be met, I now need to go and kill the Firehawk because she took some guy I don't know. And that was Roland. So I rushed to go and save the damsel in distress, grabbing a brand new toy in a random puddle along the way, and that of course would be the Lasco, which probably stands for puddle in some unknown language. I don't know, I don't speak European. And without too much trouble, I finally make it to the Firehawk. And fuck, it's the flaming pile of constant shit talking from Borderlands 3, Lilith. But it turns out that this anorexic giraffe is now in Fight for Your Life because she overdosed on purple crystal meth. But as I have been in Fight for Your Life for the past 3 hours now, I actually do sympathize with her, so I do eventually reluctantly revive her. And in return for my great deed, while we're fighting off all the bandits for her, the arsehole steals my second win kill, refuses to revive me herself, and then just stares at me as I slowly bleed out, calling for her help. Then I decide to continue helping her because I am a saint. But then, for some reason, she does it again with no remorse. Lilith is actually a heartless, mentally unstable monster. But in the end, we end up killing all of the invading bandits, and now it is time to actually rescue our damsel in distress. Nah, just kidding. Because before heading to the Bloodshot Stronghold, I kinda need to go and have a little talk with a man named Lee. But the savage bastard doesn't want to give me the weapon that I need, so I force it out of him with brute force. And just on the 2nd try, he drops the most beautiful thing I have seen in my life. Because we get the holy, double penetrating Unkempt Harold, and somehow it only took me 2 tries. And boom. Oh, we got it on the second try. What is my luck today? Double penetrating? What? What? I don't know what's the best parts possible, but holy shit. Everything is fucked for the next few levels. They have absolutely zero chance of beating me. And now that I have a gun that shoots good, I can murder my way through to Roland. But wait, because they're racist, they won't let me in. So basically what they've done is look at my car, notice that it isn't the same race of vehicle as theirs, and they then decide to exclude me from joining them because of that reason. That's racism. So it's time to go full pimp my ride on these guys, and I head straight to West Coast Customs, and I ask the sexy mechanic to make me a brand new ride. But to do that, she says I need to get some parts before she can help. So I go out and cosplay as Roadkill to surprise bomb the Bandit Technicals for their parts. I then bring them back to Ellie and get my new monster truck, and eventually I infiltrate the Bloodshot Stronghold, where I find the god of XP, because Badmore and his merry midgets must now be slaughtered constantly until I reach level 11. Those poor guys are basically in a constant state of hell, just dying over and over again, not only for my pleasure, but for my experience as well. And now that I am level 11, I go to Sanctuary and I quickly respec my skill points to get the Last Ditch Effort skill, which gives me Fight for Your Life damage and movement speed in Fight for Your Life. So I can now probably take on God himself if I wanted to, and I could do so at the speed of light. So with my extra speed and damage, I powered through the stronghold, taking half an hour just to see the poor damsel, Roland. And as I get to him, the absolute moron gets himself kidnapped once again, like he's trying to fucking cosplay Princess Peach. So I follow him and eventually make it to the boss fight, but sadly the unkempt Harold in all of its beauty couldn't take down the giant sentient armoured laser boiner on the first try at least. But on the second try, I kicked its shiny metal ass. And all that's left now for this mission is the loader army to fight. Just kidding, skip that shit. I'm gonna let Roland deal with that. He'll probably be fine, but when I get back to turn in the mission, he looks kinda mad. I literally just saved him twice, and now he's having a massive sook. I hope he dies. But we meet back up in Sanctuary so that Commander Bland and the human talking machine can reunite. How romantic. So they immediately get rid of me by sending me off to find a bird, a drunk sniper, and a child that plays with explosives like they are Legos. And when I make it to the bandit popper herself, Tiny Tina asks me to grab her not so tiny heat-seeking missiles, and after grabbing them, she adds teddy bears to the missiles because it is absolutely common sense that teddy bears add not only damage but accuracy to heat-seeking missiles. So I set up the explosives, and I destroyed the Polar Express and all of the kids on their way to the North Pole. Yeah, all of those kids are definitely fucking dead. Ah well, let's go check the wreckage for some presents. And sadly, after checking every single carriage, the only things that popped out were robot war machines trying to kill me. But I still wanted those presents, so I went to the final cabin, and I got pranked by a giant robot-human hybrid demon child. And I mean, I tried to put it out of its misery as soon as possible, but the thing was too damn tanky. So I retreated to come up with a new plan, and the best plan that I could think of was to get a massive kill streak against the XP slave until I reached level 13. And finally, after reaching level 13, I went straight back to the demon child. And I failed many more times until Wilhelm didn't want to do this anymore and just let me kill him. So it turns out that you can basically annoy someone into killing themselves, and I would say that's a pretty good tactic. And I mean, it's not a bad tactic for the game either. And what do I find on his corpse? Oh my god, that is a big old Sanctuary shield battery. How convenient. Shit. So it turns out that the battery was kind of a trap, along with the ghost that invades our mind and tells us what to do sometimes, was somehow a bad guy. Makes no sense. The only way that you could see that plot twist coming was if you were the actual writer of this story. My mind is actually blown. But now we panic, because Sanctuary is under attack, and Roland is just taking a nap under some comfortable debris. So I take the purple Cancer Rocks to Lilith, and as a thanks, she teleports anything and everything to do with Sanctuary away to a safe place. except for me. She basically just leaves me stranded with no help and no way to get back home. She could come and teleport back to me, pick me up and take me back to Sanctuary, but I guess she just can't be fucked. Sounds about right for her. She has been screwing me over at every single point in the game so far. So I speedrun through the fridge, grabbing some snacks along the way, and making it to the land of the Stalkers, aka the tier 3 Twitch subs. And while making my way to the spot where I can get back to Sanctuary, I run past all of the creepy stalkers, then we finally find the beacon, and we run into a raid boss. And that of course would be Terramorphous the Beacon Eater, who absolutely whipped my ass to death with his slimy tentacles a couple of times until it stopped feeling good, so I fought back and won. I quickly grabbed the slimy beacon, set it up at Overlook, and proceed to play hide and seek with the murderous robots until Angel fixes the fast travel, and while it did take 4 entire years of my life, I did finally make it back to the people who are constantly trying to kill me in Sanctuary. For some reason I just keep coming back and forgiving these guys, like I have some advanced form of Stockholm Syndrome or dementia. Probably both even. But as I am criminally underleveled at this moment, it's time for episode 1 of the Alcoholic Leprechauns vs the Alabama Incest Family, where I bomb a giant wheel and a giant beer. Then I proceed to frame each of the families for the devious crimes I committed, and then I watch the mayhem unfold. And with a very normal response to the exploded beer, the leprechauns get me to murder 4 incest boys and destroy their Hot Wheels cars. Seems like a normal response to me. And in retaliation to that, my new job is to kill the leprechaun's accountant. So I go full Assassin's Creed on his ass. But he's 18, I'm 14, so after I bomb myself to start fighting for my life, I get the sneak attack off, but he fucks me over and over and over again. So, obviously statutory rape, but no one cares, cause Axton is a guy. So I have to take things into my own hands by farming our old friend, Mr. XP Slave, all the way until I reach level 16. Then, with the help of a nice RPG that I found, we eventually take out the big money man himself, take all of the cash in his stash, and spend it all on ammo to empty my mags on all of his grieving family at his funeral, which is beyond fucked up. So I proceed to immediately go to the funeral and unload every single piece of ammo I have on this crowd of poor, sad people, like I was the quiet kid in an American school. But I get a pretty blue shield that gives me extra fight for your lifetime, so it was definitely worth it murdering all of those poor people. And for some reason, both of the teams still haven't figured out that I did everything. So basically, they let me decide who lives and who dies. Like an old angry god. So basically every god. But in the end, I choose to kill the tag team of Tector and Jimbo, because not only do I get the Tulane after killing them all, but they can drop the Slagger, which could probably slag an entire fucking planet in a second if I wanted it to. And it did take 10 tries of killing them, but the Holy Grail is finally mine. And with my new loot, I head to the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve, where I run into old mate Mordecai with his sniper, but no screaming seagull on his shoulder. So we need to find Bloodwing. And just so I could open one door, I had to disable loaders until they screamed loud enough for help, like an absolute psychopath. But I got my door opened, so it was 100% worth the permanent pain that all of those loaders will feel. And as I'm about to get to Bloodwing, I find a few gentlemen standing at a whopping 5'11", and we all know, according to the crazy women on Twitter, that if you don't reach 6 foot, you're useless, so I decide to kill them all. Then, one of them drops a legendary, but this piece of shit is about as legendary as any of the pieces of ammo on the floor. So I continue on into Bloodwing's new home, but she's missing. And with the piles of blood and feathers on the floor, I'm going to assume that she's completely safe and unharmed. But I do still need Bloodwing's collar, so after running all the way through this massive pain in the ass, I make it to Bloodwing, and this giant transforming bird sucked, because my only way to properly deal damage to it was to wait until she started walking on the floor, then wait until I'm in fight for your life, then I unload as many bullets as I possibly can. And I have to do that for all 3 elemental changes, but after getting poisoned to death once, I luckily take her down on the second try. Then Bloodwing proceeded to get a headache, and as she was sleeping, I grabbed Claptrap's invisibility potion, and I head back to Sanctuary. Of course to talk to Lilith and Roland, and I immediately get PTSD flashbacks from Borderlands 3. And of course, because they hate me so damn much, they send me away immediately once again, and this time it is just to deliver a piece of paper to their old friend. So instead of them just sending a message on the phone, I now have to go all the way to 1,000 Cuts, safely and calmly walk through the town full of friendly locals, and make it to the King of Slab, where I get to slaughter waves and waves of poor defenseless people to feed my bloodlust. And when I'm finally finished, I meet a giant metric ton pile of muscles that gained sentience, and named himself Brick. And after going into Fight for Your Life just one more time to kill this sarcastic asshole, a bunch of loaders show up, so now it is time for me and Brick to team up like we are the Avengers, but better. And we take the metal boxes of shit down. But I leave all of the beacon destroying to Brick because I can't get second wins off them, and I would just be dying constantly. And I mean, he always seems like he's having a good time while doing it, so I'll let him have his fun. But we end up fending off all the loaders and destroying all of the beacons, so I head back to Sanctuary. Then again I am immediately sent out to go to Opportunity, but this time I've got a little side quest I need to do, and that would be the Home Movies quest. So I finish that quickly and easily, and then I go and find Handsome Jack's handsome twin, and I proceed to rip his throat out to take his voice as I kill him. And after grabbing it, I walk around Opportunity, listening to Jack's beautiful voice for a while, and now I have learned his speech patterns or some shit like that. I don't really care, so I just head back to Sanctuary, turn in the main mission, then I dashboard farm the Home Movies quest until I get myself a nice relic that gives me a little bit of extra Fight for Your Lifetime. So now with that extra Fight for Your Lifetime, I can die a longer and more painful death. And that extra time is definitely going to help, because up next is the giant tanky metal frisbee. Then when I get to 1,000 Cuts, I wait for Claptrap to open the door, and just as we were about to go and fight the bunker together, Claptrap immediately runs away, and now I feel as abandoned as a newborn baby left at the steps of an orphanage. But even though I am now sadly alone, I move forward, and constructor number 1 should go down relatively easy. Okay, that's annoying, and now I need to get some XP, but my usual dealer doesn't give me enough, so I found 2 new willing participants who want to die to level me up, and these guys also drop pretty decent legendaries, so that could also help. I end up getting a Lyuda on the 4th run, and on the 7th I reach level 21. I then quickly respec skills, and it's time to fuck some constructor eye holes. The first constructor got absolutely smacked up. Then the badass constructor made me bleed out and die, but I returned a second time and once again fucked the constructor's eye hole with the Lyuda. Then a loot midget pops out of nowhere and actually destroys me multiple times before he meets my RPG and dies. Now it's time for the bunker and his 11 turret children. The turrets were very quickly and easily aborted, but when it came to the bunker, well, let's just say that it was a tiny bit more difficult, because after half an hour of trying to kill it, the best I could do was getting him down to half health. So you know what that means. Back to the XP slaves. Not only for XP, but maybe a better Lyuda. Well, in the hour of farming I went from level 21 to 24, and I got a whopping 2 incendiary barracks, which are complete fucking dog shit against robots, so that is very useful to me. But for some reason the constructors are once again blocking my path, so I no-scope their eyeballs until they die, and there we go, we're back to fighting the flying metal asshole. And on the first try, I kill it very slowly, so it could feel as much pain as possible. And better yet, when it died, it dropped the rarest item in the game, the 94% shit. Nah, of course not. I did get a rare head skin though, so I'm pretty happy about it. And of course, up next, we have Angel's Room of Suicidal Thoughts. And it's not bad because of how hard the enemies are, but because of how damn long it took me, which was nearly an hour long, because for each enemy, I needed to down myself, kill an enemy, which not only took long enough on its own, but every 5 tries or so it would be an instant death, because each time you get into fight for your life it decreases the time for the next fight for your lifetime. But all of this was definitely worth it, because after killing Angel and immediately desecrating her corpse with a good old teabag, my boy, Handsome Jack, arrives, finally killing the epitome of boring, and also shuts Lilith's mouth. I wish it was permanent, but sadly it was not. But she does teleport me into Marcus's place, so I can steal his shit. I didn't get much, but I still got to rob Marcus, so it's pretty much worth it. I then eventually make it to the Iridium Blight, where I meet the King of Mongs. But he really didn't want to give me the Butterboom, because it took me an hour just to get one. But thankfully, it was actually a decent one, so I'm keeping it and King Mong can go fuck himself. And while farming him for that hour, I also got to level 26. But when I made it to Sawtooth Cauldron, I meet the ambush boys and bombard the bastards with my Butterboom. I then destroy Mortar's personal property to get his attention, like an attention-seeking child, and when I find him, I two-shot him and level up. As I get to the roof, the buzzards sadly had a couple of mid-air collisions with the Lyota's bullets and go down burning in flames. Then after collecting what was needed, I tried to kill myself, but I forgot there was no full damage, and after doing a couple of menial tasks in the Arid Nexus, I make it to Saturn and somehow kick his giant metal ass on my first try. I then run past a bunch of nice loaders who didn't try to kill me, and finally grab the Krabby Patty secret formula, and also some shitty map to the warrior. So, me and Claptrap eradicate a few waves of enemies so I can go into the next area and destroy more enemies with the help of Brick and Mordecai. But after 15 minutes of fighting for my life to take down every annoying walking gun in this place, I finally make it to the warrior's house. It looks pretty decent here, but just maybe try a little bit less rising lava. But sadly, before fighting the warrior, I have to kill Handsome Jack and save Lilith, the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. Which definitely sucks, but I gotta do what I gotta do. But in return, I do let him kill me once, as I would say that's a pretty fair trade. But for the second time, either he gets glitched and stuck, which is impossible because the game is perfect in every sense of the word, or he decided to let me kill him because I let him kill me first. Let's just say it was that one. And now that he's dead, it's time for the Fire Dragon Alien Lava Monster Warrior thing, and he gave me no chance. Although I did get close once, even though I did get very lucky during that attempt anyway. But yeah, I couldn't see that happening anytime soon. So it's time for the XP slaves! And I get to level 29 and Gettle shits out a Layud Mila, which is much better than my previous one. So back to the warrior, and on the first try, taking it very slow, using the new Layud Mila for damage and the Butterboom to get second wins on the Crystallix, while also going across the map to reset the fight for your life timer and grabbing extra sniper ammo. Then I just repeated all of that until I finally killed the warrior while in fight for your life. But I die at the same time, because for some reason killing the warrior doesn't give you a second wind. So we go down together like best friends. But I respawn, he does not, and I moonshot his corpse. Mainly because I need some of that beautiful loot. And I got a fucking leech again. I'm cursed. But to end the run, I go into Fight for Your Life for a final time and go full COD trick shot on Handsome Jack's ass with a weapon swap 720 no scope for the final kill cam. And finally, I have beaten Borderlands 2 while in Fight for Your Life. And this was a pretty damn challenging run, but not as much as you might think. As long as you get second wins at the right time by killing the right enemies, and if you have pretty good weapons, you should be fine. I would say the worst part would be the XP grinding, because you obviously have to do it in Fight for Your Life, and doing so will make the XP farm take so much longer than it usually would. But anyway, overall, this run was actually pretty fun. And to be fair, the worst boss by far was the bunker, but farming Mobley and Gettle definitely helps that a lot overall. And in the end, it only took me 20 hours to finish, which wasn't as long as I was expecting it to be. But to be fair, the game is quite short if you just play it normally. And overall, I would say it was very worth doing this all, mainly for the reason that I now know that you can actually beat Borderlands 2 while in Fight for Your Life. I was thinking that there was maybe a boss that wouldn't have been possible, but we completed it successfully, so I'm pretty damn happy with that. But if you have any cool or interesting challenge ideas for any game, not just Borderlands, I would love to hear the ideas in the comments below. And if you want to watch me doing these challenges live, you can find me at I'mWelther23 on Twitch, and I'm probably live right now. But thank you so much for watching.